Hey everyone, it's Jake and Jake's Metal Chat. Hope you're all well and welcome to episode 26 of my Metal Vault, where if you've been watching this series for a while, where I will be exploring and showing you my favorite albums as well as discussing the bands within heavy metal, thrash metal, death metal, black metal, doom metal, sludge metal, folk metal, you name it, all that excellent stuff. And for later episodes of this series, I'll be covering some of the earliest heavy metal records as well as heavy hard rock from the late 60s all the way through to the 70s and very much more, a lot more, there we go, a lot more death metal, thrash metal, black metal, doom and sludge and folk and all the various other genres within death metal and doom. So funeral doom, death doom, you name it. A lot of albums from the early 2000s. So that will be later on in this series. Once I got all the other videos that I have out the way. Well, thinking about it, I'm going to go through my book and I'm just going to start adding a few here and there. So, yeah, as it is my Metal Vault, let's explore everything. And if you're brand new to this channel and this series, I welcome you here. And I'd like to apologize to everyone who was expecting to see my latest, my favorite death metal albums video. I just lost track of time. I had a lot going on 2 days ago. But I will be recording it next week. It will be recording on Tuesday as well as my next episode of this series. And so reason I'm recording it Tuesday because I'm out Wednesday for the first heat of the Bloodstock Metal to the Masses here in Bristol. So just to let you know, that's what's happening. The video will be coming out Wednesday, so so you can see more death metal albums and bands that you may not have been aware of. But anyway, let's crack on with the album and band in question for this episode. These guys formed in Los Angeles, California, all the way in the USA. Covered a lot of bands from the US here on this series. They formed in 1987, and I got to see them live in 2017 at Netherlands Death Fest 2, and they played this entire album in question. I'm talking about Terrorizer. Some excellent grindcore death metal, just fast, intense heaviness, this album. And if you don't know this album, you don't know it or you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend that you put this album on. If you can find a copy of this album, get it, put it in your CD player, spin it on your record player, put it in your tape deck, whichever format you use, blast this album. It is an absolute powerhouse, and they got a powerhouse of a drummer on this album. Of course, I'm talking about Pete Sandoval. And once again, this is Terrorizer, and here is their 1989 debut, World Downfall. What an album this is! An absolute banger of an album. It's excellent and just in your face, like the last album I mentioned in my last episode of this series. Of course, I was talking about Napalm Death. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll have it in the description below. And of course, by the end of this video, you will see a playlist. And yeah, so either the playlist will be at the end of the video or down below. Either way. Let's show the back before we show the cover. Here's the guys themselves. Of course, we've got Pete down there. We've got Oscar, Jesse, of course, an absolute legend within the scene. Of course, passed away back in 2006. May he rest in peace. And David Vincent, who we all know from Morbid Angel. Jesse here, massive, massive, just a massive part of the whole scene. I know I said rest in peace, but rest in power. Rest in peace, rest in power. He'll be remembered always. That's the CD. Terrorizer, of course. The logo is really cool. The album title on the CD. Photos there. Pete up there, David there, Jesse there, Oscar there, and Mr. Scott Burns. If you're familiar with Morrisound, he was one of the many. He was the engineer to go to for death metal and primarily death metal because Cannibal Corpse recorded there a lot before switching over to Eric Rutan, who is in the band, of course. But we're talking about Terrorizer here. Is the cover without the case glaring. Band picture again. And I like ones like this where you just get the lyrics. And man, just insane album. Now, before we talk about this album, let's talk about the band themselves. Let's go through the history. Like I said, formed in Los Angeles, California. But they formed under a different name in 1986 called Unknown Death. And then they were called Decompose from 86 to 87 and then changed their name to Terrorizer. 87 to 89. They split up in 89. Of course, Pete Sandoval went on to play in Morbid Angel, and Dave Vincent was already in the band way before that. Then reformed in 2005 to 2006. And then reformed again in 2009 to last year, and reformed quickly again last year. And of course, I got to see him. Like I said, I saw them in 2017 at Netherlands Death Fest, and they played this entire album in full. Absolutely crazy. Cheers. Going through the band themselves, of course, their first demo was called Nightmares from 87. And then demo 87, of course, from 1987. And they did a split in 87, 88, which was with Oscar's other band, Nausea, because I know there's the crust punk band by the same name. But I'm talking more the grindcore, death metal grindcore band, also from Los Angeles, of course. Oscar Garcia. The lineup on here was, as you saw, of course, Oscar Garcia, Jesse Panteta. I can't say his last name. I don't want to butcher it. David Vincent and Pete Sandoval. But Oscar, Jesse, David, Pete, you can just tell the amount of brutality, the energy these guys put in this album. I mean, damn, just one hell of an album. Love it. Like I said, Jesse passed away 2006. Last album he was on was called Darkest Days Ahead. And after that, they did Hordes of Zombies and Caustic Attack. I've not actually heard those other albums, but when I've discussed Terrorizer with mates and other people, they say the best Terrorizer album is definitely this one, and no question that it's the best one because it's fast, it's intense, and it's in your face. Of course, you've got the songs up there, being 16 songs on this album, and the album is 36 minutes and 14 seconds long. I got the songs up here, so I don't have to keep looking over here. So You know, starting off, all the songs from start to finish are just like hard hitting, in your face. I know I've said that a lot. It's excellent. You know, you got After World Obliteration, Storm of Stress, Fear of Napalm, Human Prey, Corporation Pull In, uh, Strategic Warheads. I think I said the first name wrong. Condemned System, Resurrection, Enslaved by Propaganda, Need to Live, Ripped to Shreds, Injustice, Whirlwind Struggle, Infestation, Dead Shall Rise, and of course, World Downfall, the title track of the album. And like I said, I got my favorite songs from the album, of course. Fear of Napalm, Human Prey, Corporation Paulin, and Dead Shall Rise, and the title track. But I love Dead Shall Rise. That's one of my favorites from this album. You know, and like I said, grindcore, death metal, but very punky as well. It's just, you know, punk rock has turned up to like 20 or something, like I mentioned with Napalm Death. You know, and Pete Sandoval's drumming on this is just completely and utterly insane. He plays to speeds and unknown to anything but a machine, quoting David Vincent from his interview with Vanessa Warwick back in 1993. Just if no one knows this out, I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of veterans. You know, I gotta mention all of you out there. You're gonna know this album. You're gonna remember when this came out. You know, someone might say, "Oh yeah, I remember when that first came out." You know, being brand new at that time in 1989, and of course released on the famous Earache record label. Just, well, there's a lot of things I can say about this album. I mean, obviously, you hear the demos and you hear the split. Excuse me, and just just the sheer amount of dedication and musicianship on this album is incredible. You know, the guitars, bass, the drums, the vocals, the drums, man. You know, Pete Sandoval's drums make this album, as well as the other three involved. But his drum is just sounds like, you know, just a machine gun with unlimited ammo. You know, it's just once that bit's gone, reloading and it just gets back into more, just more intensity right there. And there's a lot of albums I like that have that sheer amount of heaviness and intensity. But if someone was to ask me which album would you highly recommend, or like just non non-stop in your face heaviness, I would say this. Definitely. Definitely would say World Downfall. Why? And is that word I've been saying for a lot of the albums that I've mentioned so far? Is a timeless masterpiece. Of course, this came out in 1989. I looked at the date as the 13th of November of that year. So once it reaches that date, this album will be 35 years old. There's tons of other albums that released that this same year as this album. That will be 35 as well. Of course, there's the one we're talking about, and it will be 35. And I mean, I'll continue to play this well and up well until it's. I mean, of course, I'll be playing it once it reaches 35, but either way, just if you've got it, just put it on and just, you know, I'll be putting this on again, you know, put on my CD player as well, when I'm because I started back at a gym, and this will be some great music for when I'm on the treadmill, because it's like I said, it's a fast, heavy album. We'll be actually getting this on vinyl as well. If I can find it on cassette, great. Have them all for have this album on all three formats. And I know there's going to be people out there, and I'm not a fan of grindcore or anything like that, but I do urge you to give this a try if you are not totally 100% sold on something like this. But just a it's a fantastic album. It's one of my favorites. When I first heard it, I knew I was gonna love this album. I knew I was like, I'm gonna get this album, and it's gonna be in my collection for a very, very, very long time. Just and of course on this album as well, just looking at the back, David Vincent, of course, did the engineering on the album. Well, produced the album. Looking at the time, it says produced. Uh, yeah, engineered by. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see the right now. Yeah, engineered by Scott Burns, produced by David Vincent. Of course, he's in the band again because he was in the band in '89. Played with them 2011 to 2013, and then of course rejoined the band 10 years later, last year in 2023. Um, and yeah, his bass work on this is great. I mean, David Vincent is, you hear he's like, yeah, he's got some power behind his voice, and no, just yeah, his bass work on it is excellent. That's what I'm trying to get at. And he's done a lot of other bands as well. Obviously, he hasn't been in Morbid Angel since 2015. Left for obvious reasons. Not going to get into that. Obviously, talking more about this band. He played bass on the Halls of Zombies album. I will actually sit down and listen to that album. Probably sit down and listen to Grindcore. Are you mad? Maybe I am. Well, I know I'm mad, and that's just me as a person. I'm quite mad like that. And it's a cracking album. And if no one's familiar with it, give it a good damn listen. If you love your fast, intense music, you love grindcore. You're more into your grindcore. This is definitely one for you. You like go back to like the early Napalm Death albums, Repulsion, Horrified. This one as well. Two of those intense grindcore albums, definitely Repulsions, Horrified, and this. Without question, if you're looking for like late 80s, like two of the best from the late 80s, there's probably a lot more that never got spoken about, but definitely those two. Now, get on to the other members of the band. Obviously, Pete Sandoval, of course, he is. Well, he's not been. I don't think he's still. Is he? No, yeah, he's also left Morbid Angel in 2013. He left Morbid Angel in 2013. He was in the band from '88 to 2013. Of course, left Terrorizer in '89. Then came back in 2005 to 2023, and then actually the band got back together that same year. He's also in the I Am Morbid band, which is David Vincent's other many projects. Live wise, for Pete Sandoval, he did drums for, and I just saw it, Unleashed in 1991, so that's really cool. And guest on Decapitated Christ, drums on track number 7. I'm not too familiar with that band, but I'll check them out. And of course, Pete Sandoval, just reading something out. Well, he's got the someone gave him the names like Pete Commando Sandoval is widely regarded as the father of the blast beat. And of course, and Mick Harris, I mentioned Mick Harris in Napalm Death. They'll say that as well. I mean, if you're gonna pick two drummers that can do a blast beat and like started it all off, definitely Mick Harris and Pete Sandoval. Pete Sandoval is just a really fast, intense drummer, and his blast beats on this are ridiculous. Um, love it, love this album, and of course, let's talk about the legend that is Jesse. Was in the band from pretty much the early days of the band. Of course, was in Unknown Death, which is what these guys went under for a time. And was in Brujeria, might be saying that wrong. Lockup, of course, Napalm Death, Resistance, Culture, and he guest on the NASM, live November, December 2000 live album, and did some songwriting, but like songwriting assistance on Nausea's single Psychological Conflict, which I believe's on, like, if we're talking about the band, talk about Nausea, Crimes Against Humanity, and that's the one. Yeah, Crime Against Humanity, not Crimes Against Humanity. But of course, just reading here, Jesse was one of the first to coin the term grindcore in 1983 to describe a musical mixture of noise and chaos he was developing at the time. Yeah, I mean, it's noise, it's chaos, but then when I watched an interview with Napalm Death, because Jesse went on to join Napalm Death, what the interviewer said to all was, "Oh, yeah, it's like like with Napalm Death, structured noise," and then Bonnie said he valued it. It may be intense, but the songs are structured. When I hear I think it's Dead Shall Riser has that. Not a slow opening, it's more of a like mid tempo pace and opening. Trying to that before it gets like really fast, and so it's like that that bit. Don't know why I do that, but yeah, anyway. But yeah, but overall, the whole album, the whole songs on the album are just like in your face, in your face, in your face, just punching you constantly in the face, and just not giving you any time to just relax. That's that's the sign of a good album, and this is definitely one of them. Solid stuff. Love this band, always will. Need to see these guys in the UK because it will be great to see them in the UK. And if they do some shows where they do this album in its entirety for its 35th anniversary, I'll definitely be there because I'm not missing that. Hopefully, come to the UK. If they did did a tour playing this entire album, yes, I will do it. Try and do as many of those shows as I possibly can. Maybe like be lucky if I can fit in 3 shows. But there you go. That's just how much I love this album. And of course, I'm going to be keeping out here and putting it with some stacks of CDs I got back there of albums I need to put on again that that I put out so many different albums. Of course, this is going to be in that list of albums to listen to again. Then it might be that album where I'm like, no, let's play it again. And play it again and play it again and play it again. But definitely for when I go back to the gym, this will be for when I get on that treadmill. You know, I'll mainly be sprinting on that machine. If it's this album or any other album like it, there's going to be no sense. I'm not going to be slowing down. That's just how much of an impact this album has, left on, left on this planet. And of course, Jesse's legacy will forever be cemented on this album, and of course, the Napalm Death albums he appeared on. Harmony, Corruption, Utopia, Banished, Fear, Emptiness, Despair. List goes on. And his work, like I said, it's cemented, and it will always, and there's a massive legacy he's left behind, and definitely some of his best work is on this album. Just one hell of a banger, a timeless masterpiece that a lot of you will know, and there's going to be a lot of you that don't know it, and I highly recommend it. Once again, Terrorizer and World Downfall, one of the best albums within Grindcore and their best album, in my opinion. And that's it for another episode of my Metal Vault. Looking at the list, I got two more on this page, which had Terrorizer, Napalm Death, Epitaph, and Crowbar. I got two more to do on this page, like I said, and then get onto the other page. I got another 5 to do, no, 6 on this page, and then 7. No, wait a minute, 6 again. Oh, not doing well as counting business here. Of course, my favorite death metal albums video will be out next Wednesday. Be calling it on Tuesday next week, and of course, be out that Wednesday that same week. And of course, Metal Vault videos every Tuesday and Friday now, not every Tuesday and Saturday. And I'll be keeping up Tuesday and Fridays, unless I'm like, there's like something got in the way, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just do them on a different. Let's do them on a different Tuesday and Friday. Who knows? Who knows what? Because I'm always going to gigs and stuff, and yeah, that's it really. I'll of course be covering some the early heavy metal albums, like all the proto metal stuff from late 60s, early 70s, hard heavy rock albums as well, because I've got tons and tons of those albums I need to show on this series. So thank you once again for tuning in to my Metal Vault. If you are brand new to this series, to my channel, then like this video, share it around, comment down below if you have anything on your mind about the band, the album, some of your favorite albums within Grindcore. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with everything that is happening here on my channel. And thank you once again for tuning into my Metal Vault. I've been Jake of Jake's Metal Chat. And once again, I will see you all again in another episode of my Metal Vault.